Hi, this is Lorraine, and I've been guided to do another video. If you'll give me a second to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. This video is the first thing that comes through is it's completed a cycle. So and what that means is when I first started doing these videos regularly, which would have been at the beginning of 2020, February, March, somewhere around there, there was a very clear message that needed to be conveyed. And that message was a message of divergence. That we were going through a process of divergence. So those first videos were about that process of divergence, as well as the support we were receiving universally. And at that time I was doing one video a week. They were pretty long. The information was coming in very strong and very intensely. I don't know if I would watch those videos, recommend watching those videos, because there was so much information. It was so dense, but it was very clear that I was meant to share that information. And it was meant to be shared because it was meant to be spoken into this level of, or this existence, this level of consciousness, into this collective. That information was meant to be shared through the higher realms, and it was meant to be spoken at this 3D level of consciousness, which is what I did. But now we've come full circle, and the very strong message that has come in recently, and not conveyed through direct communication, but through synchronicities, and that is a line has been drawn in the sand. And that means we're at that point where the boundaries are being set. For the past 5 years now, we have been going through a process of divergence, and we have been making choices through our words, our actions, and our intentions. And it is at this point that the decision has been made. We have made our choice through our words, our actions, and intentions where we are moving to. And as a result, we are diverging. There will be those who transcend to a higher level of consciousness, or those who have been transcending to a more expanded level of consciousness, a greater awareness. And there are those who have chosen to remain at a place of separation, at a place of polarity or duality. And so this process isn't about punishment. This process is about growth and change and development. And we all go through this process. And again, these last 5 years have been about making that choice. We have had so much time to grow, expand, and become more aware of ourselves and our existence and our purpose. We have had extensive support universally. We've had extensive support astrologically through the shifting energies of the planets, the stars, all celestial bodies, as well as energetic support from different worlds, different planets, different beings. We have had so much support to help us move through this process. And as we receive that support, whether it's conscious or through our subconscious minds, through our subconsciousness, whether we're aware of it or not, we have had extensive support. And as we've gone through this process, everything we've done, whether it's conscious or subconsciously, we have made choices through our words, our actions, and intentions. And it is now that divergence begins. Actually, divergence has been happening this whole time, but now the line has been drawn in the sand. There's no backpedaling. We just move forward because we are beginning a new cycle. It has to happen at some point. Change is constant. It never stops. And so some of us are ready to change and move in a different direction, and some are moving in a different direction, but with lessons that still need to be learned. This message comes through very clear, and when it first started coming through, it was very upsetting because personally, I work very hard with the planet itself and with different consciousnesses on this world, in this world, to shift the planet into balance, to work towards shifting Mother Earth into balance, to shift into healing Mother Earth. And with that process, the hope is always for all of us to grow and create something new and better for us all as a whole, not for any one group, but for everybody. And so to know that some people are not ready to shift to this new awareness of unity, to move towards that level of consciousness where we are moving towards merging, reconciling the idea of duality, releasing the idea of separation, right? Knowing that we're on that path and knowing what's coming, even though I don't necessarily know the specifics, but knowing it's something beautiful. And then also knowing that not everybody's ready for that path. It's sad and it's heartbreaking, but we've all gone through it. We've all repeated cycles. And this is just part of the process. And so what's very clear is the line has been drawn in the sand. We are diverging and we are moving forward. The energy has been very intense and very tumultuous, and I feel like that's part of the reason why I have been guided to not do a video, because nothing was certain. Nothing was certain. But no one or no thing can usurp the will of the divine. And so that unity consciousness, that wholeness and oneness, that is the determining factor of all existence. What is occurring at any given time on any spectrum of our existence, be it the most positive, the most negative, or something in the middle. The ultimate determination of existence as a whole comes from that unity consciousness. All things are a product of unity consciousness. And so this line being drawn in the sand is a communication from unity consciousness saying, this is where we are, this will happen. It's not a prediction, it's not a prophecy, it's not anything like that. It's what's happening right now. And every part of what I do in my existence at this point in my life comes from faith and trust in that thing, that unity consciousness, that wholeness, that oneness, the creator of all things. Because at the root, that's what I am, unity consciousness. I'm not separate from it. I am that thing, as are you and every other thing in this existence. Everything, every particle of energy is a product of unity consciousness, and what those particles of energy create or manifest or become are a product of unity consciousness. This is where we are, and this is what's happening right now. And I go back to those first videos. I had so much communication from different beings across the universe. And so right now, the Arcturans are coming through very strong. Very, very strong. And then water beings. And so Sirius, I guess one of the Sirius planets, worlds there was a water planet. But, and so that comes through a little bit, but mostly here on Earth. There are beings that live in our oceans. The guiding force of those beings has identified itself to me as Gladiola. And she calls herself Gladiola because she loves the gladiola flower. And so that's how she first came forth and identified herself to me. And she is a feminine energy. And what the visions that have been coming through very strong lately are visions of harm coming to creatures in the ocean, in the waters. And it has come through very strong over the last 5 years that at some point, especially in the beginning in 2020, that beings from other worlds and on this world would come and help and support us at some point in time. But in 2020, we were starting that process of divergence, and it was necessary for us to go through this. And being raised Catholic, we would call this tribulation, what we've been going through. It would be called, from a perspective of dogma, it would be called tribulation. I think every other religious dogma across the planet has some story that involves some sort of tribulation. But because I was raised Catholic, from that place of dogma, what we have been going through for these years has been tribulation. And that was the message. You must go through this. All of Earth, not just Catholics, not just Christians, all of the beings on this world must go through this process. And they were not allowed to intervene. That was a very strong message. Any beings intervening with what is going on Earth are violating universal law and the will of the divine, and there will be consequences for those actions. Their presence, their beings, and their worlds, because of the karmic connection, there will be consequences for what they have done on this world, without exception. This is true for any beings on this world who have caused harm to Mother Earth. There are karmic consequences. That being said, as we transcend, those of us who have grown and released the idea of separation and are moving towards unity consciousness, we release this idea of individual karma, and we will no longer be bound by that. But as we grow into this collective consciousness, this collective awareness, and we start working from that place here on this world. We will be addressing collective karma for Earth, for humanity. And that means we will be working with other beings that exist on this world, Gladiola and her people, the raptors and their people. We will be working with them to help heal our mother and right any wrongs done to those communities on this world, because they are meant to be here. There are beings that are not meant to be here that will either be required to leave or deal with the karmic consequences of being here. I don't know specifically what that is. That information has not come to me, but I do know different communities of beings who are not originally from this world have been here for a while. I do know Gladiolus and the water beings, and I do know the raptors are absolutely meant to be here, and they will be part of Mother Earth's world community as we evolve and reconcile this idea of, release this idea of separation and reconcile duality. That's very important, because as we start to communicate and connect with these beings, we will be bringing in other beings from other worlds. And again, Arcturans have been coming in very, very, very strong. And I have a very strong Lyran or Lyran, I think it's pronounced, connection also that's been coming through very strong. There is a very strong message of protection. There is a very strong message of an understanding of what's right and what's wrong. But the Arcturan energy coming through is very, very, very loving. It's very, very parental. It's an energy of protection, like a mother or a father protecting their children. It's very strong, and it's very deep in my body. But I feel this universal support that in 2020 I could just see them out around me, but they weren't close to me. But I could see the masses. I could see so many different beings from so many different worlds just standing kind of at the ready. And now they're starting to come in really close. So something's happening. I'm not sure. I'm not getting a lot of specifics other than being very supported, very loved, and very protected. I also have 3 dragons that I work very closely with, and Arcazalia, Arthidal, and Azimonium. And they're always with me right now. Very, very strong energies. Scythia has been coming in very strong. She is a Alpha Draco goddess, and she looks like a serpent, and she has wings, but not like the Chinese dragons. Very similar to the Chinese dragons, but no legs, just a serpent with wings. And she comes in very supportive of humanity and my path and purpose. And to me, when this information comes into me, it's a field of energy that is being created to push out any remaining Alpha Draco energy that may be on this world. She is coming through to say, you must leave this world. And as one of their goddesses, she is telling them the consequences will be great. And because the Alpha Draco that may still be on this world, if there are any remaining, are living at a lower level of consciousness, this is something they fear because they're still living in duality. They fear upsetting her. They fear the consequences of her actions. And so this is a very powerful message that's coming in. And I just feel it's really important to explain there are many Alpha Draco that transcended to very high levels of consciousness. They're not all living at this really deep state of separation. They're not. Some of them, most of them, are living at very high levels of consciousness. So it's really important not to group everyone or everything together. And as I say that, one of the big things I see today on this world is people generalizing, either left or right, blue or red, conservative or liberal, just labeling and marginalizing all groups that way. Even in this gender ideology that's going through, just generalizing and marginalizing people based on their choices. The most important thing right now is everyone is struggling, everyone is suffering, all of them. I work so hard, everyone's suffering. I work so hard to keep myself centered and clear my energy and protect my energy and set up fields, and yet I still feel so much weight on this world, and I go through waves of sadness, and I go through waves of frustration, and I go through waves of joy. But this place we're in is so deep, it's such a struggle for all of us, that we have to have compassion for everybody's struggle and not judge and ostracize. And this is one of the indicators of expanding consciousness. When you can look at both sides and have compassion for what everyone's going through and not judge and allow people to be who they are and have absolute faith in the divine, in the creator of all things, that this process is happening for a reason, and have absolute faith that no matter how deep the struggle is, that this divine consciousness is protecting you or protecting us. That's the most powerful thing you can come to know, come to understand, and try to execute and manifest into your life. It's not easy, it's very hard, especially because we're trying to release paradigms, dogma, belief systems that we were raised in. Like, we have been conditioned to believe certain things. We have been conditioned to take sides. We have been conditioned, because we vote every election, everything, we're always choosing a side, right? We've been conditioned this way. Now we are asked to take action and choose a side. To not choose a side ostracizes you, ostracizes me. People don't like it, generally speaking. So when you can step outside of the paradigms that we have been exposed to and truly allow people to be who they are and live from compassion, that's the first step of opening yourself up to having compassion, not only for people, but all existence on this world. We have to have compassion for everything. We have to have care and show love to everything on this world. Everything. Without exception. It's the only way to heal this world. as we go through this process right now, and that line has been drawn in the sand, and we open ourselves up and expand our consciousness, expand our awareness, that is what is drawing this support into us. And I do feel, I'm feeling it so deeply energetically. I feel it's coming in soon. I just don't know what it's going to look like or how it's going to manifest. But I can see, when I look at different people, different politicians, different personalities, let's say big personalities that are a lot of people view, I can see the uncertainty. I can see the discomfort. I can see the lack of control. And these people who are so used to being in control of what's happening, control of any narrative, don't have that control anymore. I can see it. And so that tells me something's changing. Something's changing outside of their control. And the strongest message that comes in is you cannot usurp the will of the divine. This is what's meant to happen. I don't have a lot of messages coming in right now, or additional messages, but what's very clear and what I see right now is that what was being manifested energetically for these last 5 years is now being grounded in this reality. And so all the things that we've been working towards bringing in to heal Mother Earth, because Mother Earth is moving into balance. Mother Earth will be healed. All the things we have been working towards to bring that to fruition and manifest it on this world are happening, is happening. I can just see it, and I know it. So one last message is, we worked so hard from these I've worked so hard from these higher levels of consciousness, from a place of absolute faith that if I keep on doing this work, that the change I hope for will manifest. And in this process of understanding all time being now, in this process of understanding time, space, cycles of existence, in this experience of understanding my true divine root, understanding that I am at the root unity consciousness. And when I say that, I don't just mean me, I mean all of us. At our divine root, we are unity consciousness. Understanding that removed me so far from this 3D level of consciousness. I had to completely release what this existence is to truly see and accept those truths and understand them, while still remaining grounded in this 3D level of consciousness. That was very, very challenging, but at some point we have to reconcile that higher level awareness with this 3D consciousness. And when we link those two things together, that higher level of consciousness with this 3D level physical reality, that is how we pull Mother Earth into a different level of consciousness. and a healing. And the healing, it's so important. It's that connection that we have to our divine root that grounds us in this reality, but also pulls us out of this idea or this existence from separation. It's that understanding and that awareness and that expansion that draws to us these higher levels of consciousness across the universe, because we are matching their vibration. We are beginning to match their vibration. I say they, but they are us. We are connected to them. The same way we are connected to unity consciousness, we are connected to all these other consciousnesses across the universe, and we draw them to us. We draw their aid, we draw their compassion, and we draw their help. We draw their support from our awakening. Because as we awaken, we are not a threat. We are no longer a threat. When animals who are normally afraid of us approach us and ask us for help, it's because they're no longer seeing us as a threat. This is the shift in a consciousness. This is the shift in awareness. And this is the message I'm meant to send today. This is the message I'm meant to send today. The line has been drawn in the sand. Divergence has occurred. And now whatever that process is that happens is going to begin. Whatever the healing is, whatever creates the definitive separation, whatever moves those transcending to that expanded level of consciousness and into that healing of Mother Earth, whatever moves the individuals who are going to repeat this 3D level of consciousness, whatever that path is for them, that will begin to manifest for them. And that will begin to journey them to that place that they are meant to be. But that's definitely where we are right now. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.